Who gets to look at your data and the uses that they put it to is inherently political. The international human right to privacy gives us some conceptual tools to have a dialogue around this new politics of metadata and surveillance. We'll be covering these concepts in week 4, drawing from writers and UN reports. What we'll deal with is the concept of, for example, justification. The right to privacy inherently requires some form of justification for large-scale incursions into privacy online. Privacy inherently requires the state to speak to the community, not simply along the lines of it's for security, but actual justifications, revelations of mistakes, perhaps mission creep. We'll draw on Mr. Bruce Schneier, his categorisation of security theatre as opposed to evidence of real security outcomes. Society needs real actual information and justification. And it's not just for us. The state, which is simply individuals, requires that discipline itself to be of a professional and open character. We'll also consider in week 4 the idea of internal dissent. That is, within an intelligence organisation, professionals having freedom to disagree openly within the organisation, perhaps to means, methods, concepts or aims of metadata and surveillance. We'll draw on the work of Mr. Morehouse, a leading writer who introduces this idea of internal dissent. Now, Mr. Morehouse, a leading writer, writes that, and I'm quoting, "A high degree of professionalism creates a working and cultural atmosphere where dissent is an honourable thing." Internal dissent. It is freedom. It allows counterintuitive and profound challenges. The importance of a culture of internal dissent within the intelligence community is explored as a precondition to independence and review. And lastly, security language. We'll be looking at that. It is often evocative. And you would have seen over the last few weeks, it's exciting, at times compelling. There's changes, it evolves. There's PRISM, there's new Cyberwar attacks with evocative names. Well, one of the roles that we'll look at is that international human rights has a settling to this frantic and frenetic activity around language. We'll explore how international human rights, the right to privacy, is a stable idea that applies despite the latest revelation or name. It confronts and says, yes, we have new X, but still tell society as transparently as you can the justifications, the human element, how you're dealing with it, the connections that you're making. Essentially, it insists on seeing the reality and the humanness of what the state is doing. The interviews that support week 4 modules are with the writer Mr. Frank Morehouse and Mr. Brett Walker, Senior Counsel, Australia's first independent national security legislation monitor. So, at the end of week 4, you'll have knowledge about the latest UN reports and other writers on how the concept to the right to privacy can be seen at a broad conceptual level to both support and create the language to engage with this new politics of metadata and surveillance.